How's it going, folks? Making another best ball video for you. This is my second entry into the puppy, and we have pick 12. So, some things. I'll turn that light off again. Some things we are looking out for in this draft is I'm looking to get some more shares of Antonio Gibson. I'm looking to get some more Kyler Murray stacks, some more Dak stacks, some more Trey Lance stacks. So those are kind of the things foremost on my mind at the moment. I'm also looking for one Dallas, Arizona super stack where I start off Hopkins, Lamb, Cooper. But I would rather do that in the middle of the draft to ensure you can get Cooper in round 3. I don't want to do it from the 12th slot, so we will be letting that go. So a few players I'm looking for more ownership on are like George Kittle with Trey Lance, Hopkins and Kyler, Dak and Lamb, or Cooper. Been pretty hard to get them now that the puppy's open because a lot more casual drafters now, and Kyler and Dak are becoming harder and harder to get in the 5th round. Saquon Barkley going at the 104. Barkley is just a guy I'm not drafting right now, so if he ends up being amazing this year, I'm going to be bad for us. But now that they're saying that he's not for sure going to be ready for week 1, I'm just hard fading until we get new news. If we do get new news, I might just at the point that we get the news, fire up like 20 drafts in a row and draft them in all of them to get my ownership back up. But for now, I think I have one share in all of my best ball drafts. So we would definitely be fucked if he had an amazing year. The turn, I'm hoping to just be picking something in Gibson. Anything in Gibson would be nice. Could go Hopkins, Gibson, but I think we'd be pretty unlikely to get I think we'd be pretty unlikely to get Kyler the next round anyway. So if that's the case, I'd rather just go Diggs and Gibson. And not the next round, but I think it's unlikely that we would get Kyler in round 5 if we took Hopkins there. So I'm just going to take Diggs because I plan to draft Hopkins a lot in the near future. So I kind of want to limit my Hopkins shares when I don't think I can get Kyler. So I'm not really going to look for him at the 111 or 112. I am going to look to draft Hopkins in the first round at pick 6 or 7 just one time to set up that super Dallas stack. So when setting up the super game stacks for week 17, I don't think you need to draft it a whole bunch of times. You're just going to be losing too much EV. This is kind of just like a one-off, try to get that team through, hope that game stack spikes that week, win $50,000 in the puppy, or $1 million if you're in the Best Ball Mania 2, which we won't be doing any more of those for a bit. We'll be back on that train probably in August, but sticking to the puppy until it fills up, which shouldn't be too long because this contest is getting mass entered. So, yep. Wouldn't hate getting more Waller, but I'm more interested in Kittle again. Not only do I like Kittle a little bit more, but I want to get more Trey Lance. If you get more Kittle, more Trey Lance stacks. I didn't realize my Gibson shares were back down to average, so I have 9% Gibson, which is basically no more than the average person. A little bit more, but not much. So I'm definitely looking to push Gibson back up into the around 16, 17% range. I wouldn't even mind more than that, but that's kind of the least I want, so I'll be drafting a ton of Antonio Gibson in the following videos. I also don't have too much of him in Best Ball Mania. I'm not too sure why, because he's like one of my favorite players. I was all over Gibson in Dynasty last year, and it paid off big time. So when it comes back around, probably going to look to be a little wide receiver heavy because it's the way these drafts have been going, where you really got to get your value at wide receiver while you can, because it gets really ugly really fast. I do have some interest in Dobbins or Swift to go with Gibson. If those two are gone, then we're probably just going to take two wide receivers. It's definitely going to take Swift, kind of deciding what I want to do with my other pick. Buy myself a little extra time here. Could go Julio, could go Woods. I think Julio is a guy I don't have too much ownership on, so kind of unfortunate to start off with 2 week 9 bye week running backs, but is what it is. I don't have much Godwin either, but I guess Godwin's got a lower ADP, so I'll just take Julio. So nothing too like real crazy in this draft. Things just kind of went as they should. Do have some interest in Tannehill to go with Julio later, but we'll see how that falls. The only other real pieces to go with Tannehill after Julio is like a pretty late Ferkster as tight end or last round Josh Reynolds. So it's kind of a bummer. I'd definitely rather have Ferkster than Josh Reynolds, but Ferkster also costs more and is a little hard to get, especially when you're on the turn, because you're often having to, gamble like, oh, is he going to make last 24 more picks, which is really hard to predict. So pretty happy with this start. Do like Swift more than Chris Carson just because of the pass catching. I think this is the second time I've done Gibson Swift, so maybe the next time I have an opportunity to pick between Swift or Carson, I'll take Carson. Josh Allen off the board. We weren't really very hopeful that he would make it back to us. So that's kind of why we had that one super forced Buffalo Atlanta game stack. It's just a game stack I wanted to have in play in case, could squeak that team through to week 17 and that game ended up being a massive shootout. It is in Buffalo, so bad weather obviously possible, but last year there was Denver Buffalo week 16. Denver and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs absolutely fucking destroyed that week, so I'm not gonna too overweight the fact that the game is in Denver. I mean, the game is in Buffalo. Can't predict the weather. I just want one of that game stack, and we got that done, so that's good. So the only game stack really for week 17 I'm looking to really press is a Dallas-Arizona one. Still quite a few picks away, so I'm not really locked into anything at this point. I think at the turn I probably would have taken Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, like I saw my buddy Paul do in a video in one of his lineups he posted, because it's kind of a unique, difficult one to get. wonder what the guy on the turn had. Oops. Well, I had AJ Brown and Kittle. Yeah, so that would have been pretty cool if he went Chase and Higgins. Not necessarily sure that would have been better than the picks he made, so would have definitely been interesting. So yeah, you see Kyler and Dak don't make it to the end of round 5 here. Not surprising. This is why the one time we do choose to do that Dallas Arizona crazy game stack, we want to do it in the middle here, like between picks, I think 6 and 8. I think if you're waiting to 9, you're kind of taking too much risk that you'll lose the quarterback in round 5, and I think you really need to take a wide or a running back in round 4 in that build. So we got an easy pick in Brandon Ayuk here. And the other pick, we have a lot of choices. Definitely want Ayuk. Maybe we can get Trey Lance like later on in this one. Odell doesn't overly thrill me. We just take Debo here and try to like set up for that stack. I don't really love that. All right, I'm gonna take Javonte Williams. I don't really like anything here, so big upside rookie running back. Most of the running backs you see do really well come from most of the running backs in the running back dead zone, which we are in right there, that end up doing very well are rookie running backs. Between Williams and Etienne, it's kind of whatever. I take one sometimes, the other sometimes. I think now I have more Williams than Etienne. I started off with more Etienne than Williams, so maybe we should start taking Etienne a bit more. I did take Trey Sermon. I don't really like taking Trey Sermon over Etienne and Javonte Williams. I did it once for something I was trying for a special build, my last draft, but it was like a hyper-focused Week 17 non-stack. So I was only looking for players from like the Week 17 games that I like, but also not making game stack out of it. Just kind of like a best of Week 17, if you will. So that was why I took Sermon that one time in that one lineup over those guys, but I would not normally do that. So now that we have these 3, we really don't need to take another running back until like round 9 or 10. If we want to take another one later, even, it's fine. Javonte hasn't taken over the starting job by week 9, then this team's probably in trouble anyway. Definitely do not want Melvin Gordon on this team, because we have Javonte. Loving the 3 wide receivers we have to start off. I am a little interested in a 2 quarterback Trey Lance build, because that's something I haven't done yet. That some experts, it's pretty much split on if they like him or don't like him. I don't really like him, but I have a ton of 3 quarterback Trey Lance builds, so but it's kind of way too early to decide that. You got to like see what the draft gives you and where the values are and like what you're looking at for players. So we'll definitely not be considering a running back at the turn here, I guess, unless somehow Trey Sermon's at the turn. There's always a somehow that seems to happen with running backs. I'm always like, well, unless this one crazy thing happens, and then it happens. But I don't think we'll have to worry about that here. I find the value at the end of round 6, start of round 7 to be one of the hardest spots I have. So if anybody's watching this that has particular players that they really like down there, I could use some advice at the end of round 6, beginning or end of round 7, beginning of round 8. I always find when I'm on the turn, this pick area to be kind of disgusting. It's like I don't like the wide receivers. I don't like the running backs. I don't really like taking Tyler Higbee. The quarterbacks are usually kind of like wiped out of tier 1, and then maybe like just Jalen Hurts, who's kind of like on the breaking point of tier 1 for me. Suppose we could consider taking Tannehill at the turn. That's probably one pick that wouldn't be too terrible. Tiniest bits of interest in Trey Sermon and Edmonds. Really would rather not take a running back. If Herbert were to fall all the way to the turn with Mike Williams, could grab both of them. Nope. Mike Williams is gone, so I don't think we'll take Herbert. Could do something like Jalen Hurts and Goddard if those two are available at the turn. Please someone take Trey Sermon. Mostert before Sermon. I don't really have a super strong opinion on like which one you should be taking, but I don't have difficulty getting Mostert shares, so I take Sermon when Sermon's available, and then when I miss Sermon, I'll try to get Mostert, and then if I miss both, that's fine. This is going to be ugly if he gets all the way to us, because I don't think I have the willpower to say no to this. Especially since there's just like... So what do we have for options at quarterback? It's pretty much like Tannehill. The only wide receiver I have interest in right now is Antonio Brown. Just really don't like Will Fuller that much, or Curtis Samuel. Well, we're going to take another share of Trey Sermon. That's Antonio Brown, Will Fuller, or Tannehill, huh? Just don't really want to take a quarterback yet. All right, Antonio Brown it is. Don't think we'll get Trey Lance because he'll probably go before we pick again. This draft looks like it is going to be a bit problematic, but we'll figure it out as we go. So running back, we'll probably take one more, but we're going to take it like the very last round, so we can just click it off. We'll either take Darrington Evans or Jerick McKinnon in the final round as our fifth running back. We don't even really like necessarily have to take a fifth running back, but I don't mind earmarking that spot because the wide receiver is available in round 18. I don't like too much this year compared to previous years. You guys who watched my video 2 years ago know A.J. Brown's rookie year and DJ Chark's second year, I was smashing those guys along with Darren Waller in round 18, and things went gloriously. Also with Oliver Will Dissly, who unfortunately got hurt, but like provided enough value to have a positive win percentage despite only playing a few games. I think he played like 6 games or something. Not regretting my choice yet on what we picked as a turn. Trey Sermon, like a full round behind ADP, is just too nice, especially with that Week 17 matchup with Houston. It is a little troublesome that we have 2 rookie running backs, so I do think that last round we will try to grab like Darrington Evans or Jerick McKinnon. I think McKinnon's going to have an easier shot, even though he's on a new team and Evans is on the same team. I think just because of like his history of being a pass catching running back and pass blocking and all that stuff, it'll be an easier path for McKinnon to get on the field early in the season where we might need help with our rookie running backs. Maybe not yet in the picture. We do still have Gibson and Swift to carry us a bit too. So we can be a little open-minded on if we do or do not want a fifth running back. definitely think in this build we don't want somebody like Pollard that we're going to have to kind of hope to wait for. Pollard's another guy I want more ownership on, and Darrell Henderson. I think looking back, I would wished I would have taken a running or a wide receiver over Javonte Williams, but I also didn't expect to get Trey Sermon a full round after ADP. That doesn't really happen much. Few wide receivers I like on the board. Tight end, pretty much just Higbee. Quarterback, Tannehill or Lance. I don't know if Lance went yet. No, he didn't. Sometimes you got to go check for Lance because he can go so far above ADP in certain drafts. I wouldn't hate just having like Ayuk Lance stack. That's fine with me. Don't know if that'll make it to us, but I wouldn't be opposed. Wide receivers just like very unexciting what's on the board. That's what you really got to get them early. I don't mind Bateman. I don't mind Marvin Jones. Henry Ruggs is even starting to get up there because so many people are drafting 0 RB. 0 RB is quite good, so I don't blame people. Pretty glad Higbee went before us. This guy I just had median interest in. Do like Elijah Moore quite a bit. It's hard to believe how far up the board he has swung. So interesting here, we could take Tannehill, Trey Lance, and get our 2 QB Trey Lance build if we want, if neither one of them is taken by Neff King. I wouldn't hate that because Tannehill's bye week is so late in the season. We'd be really kicking the can on wide receiver pretty far down. We'd be looking at somebody like Paris Campbell instead of, or maybe even somebody worse than that instead of Elijah Moore. Since I have a ton of Elijah Moore and I literally don't have a single pairing of this QB group, I'm going to take my chance to get my 2 QB Lance stack. Or 2 QB Lance ownership. And I have a stack with Lance and Ayuk. So don't need to worry about quarterback anymore. Don't need to worry about running back until the last round. So very possible this will be a 3 tight end build because their tight ends are probably going to be quite weak. Tight ends go like super, super late. Not surprised to see Elijah Moore be the next wide receiver off the board. So where did things kind of go wrong in this draft for us? I believe if Javonte Williams would have been a wide receiver, we'd be sitting pretty right now. Or even if Javonte Williams would have been like Mark Andrews, also would be in much better shape. So really kind of fine-tuning my process now and trying to get a little bit better because I think I've been making a few errors. I do like, certain things that I've been doing versus other people that I know. Really do like the idea of having a few of those unique Game 17 game stacks, even if it means forcing a lineup because you're not going to do it that much. It's kind of like, being super contrarian in like a Millionaire Maker build for DFS. There's quite a few wide receivers that I still like that are out there, so I do think we can pick up some decent picks there the next go round. The problem is that we're also pinched at tight end, so between the two, we're just going to have to kind of look at what's on the board and see what's decent values and what isn't. Wouldn't mind going with a couple Patriots and Aguilar and Johnny Smith. I did decide to stack Mac Jones just in one setup because week 17 they play the Jaguars. and the game's in New England, so I could see if the Jaguars are just terrible, them giving up in the freezing cold that game. But you don't expect a ton of points to be scored in those freezing cold games. Go check out the Patriots versus Titans 59-0 game where Brady and Randy Moss had about infinity points, so it does happen. So that's why I try not to factor weather in too much, especially if you're talking about just something that you're not doing that much, like a game stack or something that you're not picking overly often. Do like Aguilar and Paris Campbell quite a bit. I like Christian Kirk quite a bit. Bryan Edwards I'm into, but if we let tight end go another entire go around, what would we be looking at? Probably still get Ferkster, which would go with Tannehill. Although so I'm really tempted to take one of Jonnu or Irv Smith and the best wide receiver available. So do you think Jonnu and Irv Smith are the end of a tier for me? AJ Dillon at the 11-8. That's pretty good value for that fellow. Darrell Henderson. I really like the running backs in this range. Irv Smith going off the board could be good time trouble for us. So, wide receiver, Aguilar or Christian Kirk? Or both, and kick the can on tight end. Definitely own more Christian Kirk than Aguilar. Aguilar's the better ADP value, so let's go with him. And I'm going to take Jonnu. It's like the last tight end in that tier for me. So we kind of predicted that pretty early in the round where we're looking at what was going to be coming back. Jonnu is pretty high above ADP pick, but kind of fine with it. I have him a tier above basically where his ADP is. So we've gotten one extreme value at ADP with Trey Sermon, and we've taken kind of a bath at ADP on one with Jonnu Smith. Like I was saying earlier in this draft, you got to be careful when you're on the turn. You can't play the ADP game as much as you'd like to, and when there's the last tight end of a tier for you, you best take him because he's not lasting 24 picks to get back to you. So don't mind that pick, but it's not ideal either. I loathe Evan Ingram and Robert Tonyan. I don't mind taking Robert Tonyan if you're doing an Aaron Rodgers thing, but otherwise, hell no. Crazy unsustainable touchdown rate, and not a ton of targets, and Amari Rodgers in town now, Lazard coming back. I don't know. It's not too big on Tonyan. Could just be better than Jonnu Smith. Who knows? Evan Ingram, I loathe. Guy can't catch a fucking football. Don't know what his purpose in life is. Can't block. He can run fast. Can't block. Can't catch a football. Doesn't really do much in the red zone. Don't really understand why he exists. Don't know why a team would pay him money. I think he's a pretty horrendous player. So I have a bit of interest in, the TD upside, tight ends, and Cook and Gronk. Definitely have interest in a whole bunch of these wide receivers down this way. Bryan Edwards, Sterling Shepard, Rashad Perryman. I did draft a share of Blake Jarwin draft ago, but I was doing a a non all-in game stack of that Dallas Arizona game, just a regular old value picks game stack of it. So I'll probably be doing a few of these puppy videos this week. Maybe one today, one tomorrow. Pretty busy Sunday, so that probably won't happen Sunday, but try to have one a day here for a little bit, except for Sunday. Sunday's got the basketball game and the Euro final. They're going to really kick me, Evan Ingram, all the way back down this way. Please don't do it. Take Evan Ingram. I bet you I have. I know I don't have 0 shares of Evan Ingram because I've picked him a few times to set up some Daniel Jones stacks, but I don't have much. I think I have like 2 shares of Evan Ingram. I had a dynasty team that had Christian McCaffrey, Zeke, and Derrick Henry on it, and I won the league last year. And the league ended up folding, and because I had Evan Ingram on the team, I was kind of like, at least I don't have an Evan Ingram share anymore. That is how much I dislike that man. Nice to see him go off the board. Nice to see a quarterback run, because we're not drafting any more quarterbacks. This is going to be one of my 2 quarterback Lance builds. I like that I have a guy with like a later bye week, and it's a guy, that's probably going to be steady and also has upside. Could go 2 wide receivers here. End up in like a 3 tight end build. I'm not really too sure I want to do that because I kind of would like to take a last round running back. Don't need to, though. The more like risks you're taking, though, like you don't want to have too many things go like at the 100th percentile right for you to win. So like I'm already doing a 2 RB Lance build, so maybe that's a reason to like shy away from not taking the 5th running back. The values on wide receivers are okay. Gronk goes, huh? If we want Ferkster, probably going to have to take him. We're definitely going to take Bryan Edwards. I like Bryan Edwards quite a bit. Like his upside, supposed to have a starting spot. I guess we'll see if that goes. So now do we give a shit about like a Perryman or a Myers or a Crowder or a Terrence Marshall, or do we want to just take our stack piece? It's going to take our stack piece. Luckily, did not share a bye week with Johnny Smith, so that's nice. And we have Ferkster and Julio now to go with Tannehill. We just have Ayuk to go with Lance, but that's all right. I have tons of other types of Lance stacks. I want to keep pushing my Lance ownership. It's kind of dwindled down from where it was. I think at one point I was at like 24%. I'm definitely way below that now. I'm either like somewhere in the 12 to 16 range. Kind of nice thing is we don't have any wide receivers that share a bye week. Not something you overly need to shoot for, but when it happens, it's nice. Helps your upside week to week if you only have one guy out. As opposed to, 2 this week, 2 this week, 2 this other week. Now you have 3 weeks where you could kind of struggle at that position. But, I don't overly worry about it unless you're talking about getting to, like, 3 of them if I'm doing a 7 or 8 wide receiver build I don't really love, and then like I don't ever really like 4 wide receivers the same bye week. I do see people do that quite a bit. That one is not for me. So we kind of have the option of taking a 3rd tight end if we would like to or not. Going to depend what the choices are and how they compare to the wide receivers, because one of the big arguments I got into with some other experts, I'm not sure if I'm an expert, but other enthusiasts / experts, me being an enthusiast, was the year that Darren Waller, I was pushing him so hard in week 18, people were just like, you should be taking a wide receiver there. And I was kind of like, well, like the wide receivers there don't have the same upside. And Darren Waller also can play in your flex if he goes off. Like, flex doesn't exclude tight ends. Now, there's no tight ends this year that are going in round 18 that like were like Waller or Dissly for me then. So that argument's kind of doesn't matter for this season. But I do think it's something you got to keep an open mind to, right? If there was tight end that you really, really like the value on in round 18, then just being like, oh, I can't take a third tight end. So like I can't ever take Darren Waller, even though I think he's an awesome prospect and he's free in round 18. But I can't take him as my third tight end. I don't think that's the right mindset. You just like need to find your value guys and that you like and take those guys. Because don't forget, tight ends can play in the flex. It is possible. I am not an advocate for 3 tight end builds, so don't take this that way. Just saying, find value where you find value. And if you think you have an edge because you like a certain player that's undervalued, then take that player. Still some wide receivers on the board I don't mind. Tight end, there's like Cole Kmet, Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper shares a bye week with Berkster, so we won't be doing that. Yeah. So I think I wouldn't expect Cole Kmet to get to us, so I don't think we'll be taking a third tight end in this draft. If Cole Kmet made it to us, we probably would consider him then, because he would be comparable to the wide receivers on the board to me. I'm a big Kadarius Toney guy. There goes Kmet. There goes De'Ami Brown. Well, I shouldn't say I'm a big Kadarius Toney guy. I'm a big Kadarius Toney guy compared to his ADP. You do not get first round wide receivers in round like 15, 16, 17, 18 much. Although you did get A.J. Brown his rookie year in round 18. I'm not sure exactly how that happened or what was going on there. I think people just despised Marcus Mariota that much. And if you remember, he was the starting quarterback then, and Tannehill kind of took his job like week 5 or 6. Don't take Toney. I'm pretty sure we can just like do this to tight ends. I'm going to take 2. Nice. I'll take 2 wide receivers here and then probably just take a running back our last round. Eskridge is dealing with a bit of an injury, so I'd kind of like to wait and find out some more about that. So we're between Nico Collins and KJ Hamler. I'll take Hamler this time. Could probably just take like Marquez Valdes-Scantling to get my Hamler ownership down in that spot. I think if I had that pick to do over again, I'd do that just because I don't really take Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and his ADP is higher. I prefer Hamler, but I have a little bit too much Hamler because if Teddy Bridgewater gets in there, like Hamler's not going to be nearly as good as if Drew Lock is in there. So we could still take Nico Collins if we want to, if he's available. All right, I still have like 2 more picks, not just 1. For some reason, I was thinking I only had 1 more pick. So probably take like Jerick McKinnon or Darrington Evans with our last running back if one of those 2 is available. 12 picks away. Wouldn't hate getting one of the Green Bay wide receivers or Nico. Then probably Zacchaeus and kind of all the guys that are at the top, I guess. I was trying to be all slick by naming people off, and then I just named all the people that happened to be at the top of the board when I wasn't really thinking about it. So we should see if Darrington Evans is even available. He may not be. McKinnon usually always is. Evans is a little more popular. Yeah. He's not even assured of the backup job yet, but whatever. He'll have his pass catching role regardless of if he's the backup or not. MVS off. With our build, we need more of like a guy that can help out if something happens here in the beginning of the year, and these guys aren't getting that many touches, so we don't really want to get like a Chuba Hubbard, even though he might have a lot more upside than a guy like McKinnon. He went off the board anyway. But if we had like a more solid running back group and we were just looking for like an extra home run type of threat, we could take somebody like Chuba Hubbard, even though I'm really not drafting Chuba Hubbard himself. I don't think I've drafted him yet, but he's on my radar. Bummer. Nico went before us, so might go with Josh Palmer or Amari Rodgers. This is Amari Rodgers. I guess we'll go with Lazard. Might go with Lazard either way. Pretty close between the two. Let's take Amari Rodgers this time. I think I've taken Lazard the last couple times. And I guess we'll take Jerick McKinnon. So we got Tannehill, Lance, Gibson, Swift, Javonte, Sermon, McKinnon, Diggs, Julio, Ayuk, Antonio Brown, Aguilar, Brian Edwards, Kadarius Toney, KJ Hamler, and Amari Rodgers, and Jonnu and Ferkster. Overall, I think this team's pretty good. I feel like kind of a lot would have to be going right for this team to take the tournament down. But do the best you can with the players available. Spots I think we could have done better. I think taking a wide receiver instead of Javonte Williams. Or, Mark Andrews if he was available. Can't really remember. I think I would have taken him if he was, but. All right. Well, that'll do it for this one. Good luck in your drafts, folks.